That's wait.
Clock will be in order. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and get the motion to accept the minutes of March 7th.
How to move.
Second.
Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. The motion to accept the financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Steve, a couple of amendments.
Yes, I do. The first is budget amendment number 2012-011 is recognize $1,500 of seeds funds forfeited to the town for the purpose of funding undercover peace operations.
Okay, I get a motion to accept budget amendment number 2012-011.
That's a move.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Second budget amendment is number 2012-012. It's to transfer $1,000 within the Building and Zoning Department from their engineering line item into their minor equipment line item for the purpose of purchasing a desktop computer. There's no new money because transferring within the already approved money for that department's budget.
Okay. Get a motion to accept budget amendment number 2012-012.
Move that we accept budget amendment 2012-012.
A second motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Louis, you're up.
Okay, I have the Archaeological Society on here, but I'm sure the board knows that was canceled. The person will reschedule at a later time. First item I have is the sewer improvements to the Warner Road pump station, Meadows at Elk Creek, and Patriots Glen. I asked Ryan from KCI to come in case there was any special questions. However, I'll give you a brief synopsis of why we're doing this. The Warner Road pump station is operating under standard now, or below standard, and we've tested it twice and we need to upgrade it. In the process of upgrading that, we need to upgrade the two other pump stations that are connected to what's called the Warner Road force main. And the result of an analysis done by KCI, we've come up with a solution that we came to a consensus that another improvement will have to be made, a parallel force main. The force main will run from Muddy Run, connect to the Patriots Glen pump station, and run from Muddy Lane to Chapel Run, will discharge into a gravity manhole at that location. The improvements to Warner Road, Meadows at Elk Creek, Patriots Glen, and the force main will ultimately give proper, maximize performance of the pump station, allow for growth and development in the Route 79 and Muddy Lane area, including Tenby Ridge, Stavro Associates property, and Bell Hill LLC. The first proposal with KCI is to provide engineering services to prepare for the construction of the sanitary sewer force main from Muddy Lane to Chapel Run. Scope of services include survey, parallel force main design, wetlands delineation, mitigation permitting. Total cost estimate for all these services is $57,320. The KCI estimates the delivery in about 5 months. The reason it takes that long is the permitting is expected to take 16 weeks, largely because of the wetlands in the area and disturbances of sensitive areas where the construction will occur. I would recommend that the board accept the proposal by KCI in order to perform the engineering services for this project.
That's the budget construction cost estimate there.
Total cost estimate $57,320 is for engineering services, which includes surveying, mitigation, permitting, things of that nature.
Just for that.
Just for that project, just for the parallel.
That first project.
Right.
Okay.
I sent out a sheet that I sent it electronically.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or
If there's any questions about the project, that's why I had Ryan come to the meeting. I don't know if there's any questions about that or not.
Okay. Motion to accept KCI's proposal for the engineering construction of the phase services for Warner Road, Meadow of Elk Creeks.
Make motion to accept it. Second.
Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Second project is to upgrade the Warner Road pump station, Meadows at Elk Creek pump station, and Patriots Glen pump station. Scope of work includes the design and construction details for the installation of new equipment and related work for maximizing station performance. The cost of this is more expensive, $93,694, which includes direct expenses and construction services. Part of the cost of this is during the course of inspection during the course of construction, inspection by the engineer and inspectors who are qualified to do the inspection for this level of work. More complicated, it's not just digging holes, it's very complicated work, install VFDs, electrical work and all that. Recommend that the board accept proposal for the upgrade to Warner Road, Meadows at Elk Creek, and Patriots Glen sanitary sewer pump station.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the KCI's proposal for pump station improvement and force main improvements?
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The cost of these engineering services will be paid out of major facility sewer fund, and there are spent adequate funds in that sewer fund to pay for all this.
Okay.
Next item I have, ordinance 1, 2012, introduced on March 7th, brought to the board tonight for adoption. Essentially, the time specified in the ordinances has been changed to limit parking till 4 o'clock rather than 4:30 as previously indicated in the ordinance. All the time changes in these areas, including Bridge Street, Cathedral Street, Mackle Street, Main Street, North Street, Singley Avenue, West High Street, and West Main Street will be changed to reflect a 4 o'clock rather than 4:30 termination of enforcement. In other words, not going to enforce beyond 4 o'clock.
Okay. Have a motion to adopt ordinance 1-2012.
I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item, I have ordinance 2, 2012. Only change in this ordinance is the inclusion that the parking, 2-hour parking limits on streets within the town will run from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. rather than 4:30. Only change is to change it from 4:30 to 4 o'clock. Would ask the board to adopt ordinance 2-2012 in order to bring this into alignment with the previous ordinance. It's all beats 4 o'clock stuff.
All right, do I have a motion to accept ordinance 2-2012?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all I have.
Okay. The only thing I have, like on the old business, of course, everybody probably knows this by now, but it seems like the Maryland Emergency Management people keep sending us money, which is good. Because we've had our debris removal from the Big Elk Creek. We received $24,763 from them. The emergency protective measures, we received $8,014.54. Some more debris removal from Meadow Park, we received $13,176. And the Big Elk Creek Diversion Dam, for the repair of the embankment, we received $5,514, for a total of $51,469. So, and it only cost us, we spent $68,000. So that was really good on our part to pursuing this and making sure we got some recovery from our expenses. So we did very well. Good job. That's the only thing I have on the whole business. Mary, do you have anything?
No old business.
Yeah, it's just, it's been a while since someone's been in and talked to us about the parking out at the, first place we took over, the homeowners association out here off of 213.
That's Sharon, Buttonwood.
Buttonwood, yes, I couldn't think of the name. Over Buttonwood, had a citizen wanting to know if we have had any more discussion around their parking issue out here. I know that it even got worse since last time they've been in there to talk. I went out there myself and monitored, not monitor, I watched for an hour or so of the parking out there at Buttonwood. I understand that now that it's town property, we had some citizens come in and talk about their parking in front of their house and the handicap. I'm just bringing it up because it was brought to my attention 2 days ago. Just wanted to
I
know.
sure would say, we spent quite a bit of money establishing a whole new parking area out there between the 300 and 400 block. It was part of our latest road project, to build a whole parking area where the grass was on our property. Probably, I think there's like 14 or 16 spaces there. Yeah, we put all that in there, and we've, as a result of the complaints made by residents between the 300 and 400 block where they had the most problems, and then every time I've been out there, it's been almost full, so
Well,
they're using it.
Oh yeah, it's full, but it's people from the other, like the next section, parking and walking over to their house and it's taking up parking space. I watched some people.
We don't have any plans for additional work out there. I don't know what to tell you. We built that.
Yeah.
We built all that parking out there for them. So we don't have a plan now to build more parking.
Well,
Because we fixed a lot of areas they complained about, you know, the pavement, the condition, everything, and that was
Right.
all done as part of our project.
Well, it's just a question if there's any way we can come up, not just us, but maybe we have to come up with some kind of a way that a person does have access to their home or their house. Because I saw a couple of elderly people that had to park on a curve or around the curve and walk right past me almost a good 100 and some odd feet or yards.
When the homeowners association owned the property, they had a system set up where each person had a spot. But when they went to function, the town took it over, it's become public property.
And I understand that.
We don't have a mechanism that would allocate a parking spot to an individual. It wouldn't be, I'm not even sure how you would lawfully do that. The only thing you could do is if somebody had a handicap, for example, you could allocate a handicap parking spot for someone.
But it'd be open to any handicapped person.
Any-
I understand that, and I explained that,
That's one
but
of the, when a homeowner association goes up in smoke, that's what's left in its wake. A similar thing happened in Turnquist. The property where they park is public property. And the only thing we could do there was issue permits. I don't know if you want to get into permits. Now, the problem with the permit is that you can't issue more than two because there's no room. So that excludes people from parking there at all in the development. You know, you exclude them at all. And I don't know if you want to, that can work or not, because some people might have one car and that's fine. And some people may have working members of the family that have 3 cars and they couldn't park in that area at all because it would be excluded. So we've kind of let that go, and I don't know, you'd have to do a survey and find out if you want to go that far.
I just know that,
Because there's a backlash to everything you do, and the best we could do in terms of fairness and equity to the people out there was construct a
A
bigger
better parking,
area for
right.
them to
Yeah.
park. But that brings with it, as you said, the responsibility to park there and then walk to a home, because it may not be something in front of their home.
I know, because you can't identify a parking space or something, because this town is now considered town property. I understand that
Yeah, well,
part.
public.
But I'm just trying to figure out if there's, and I'm just asking, if there's something we can do to address that, because there was 4 cars that parked right in a row and went into this one house. And I said, it's kind of odd to see 4 friends visiting, whether they live there. And
And that's a good point.
that car
We do
stayed
have
there.
people that visit.
That car stayed there, those cars stayed there for a good 30, 40 minutes, and people were coming, and they went right past their house, and had to park around the corner, and I saw the people walking. And that's what made me kind of wonder if there's something. But I just wanted to bring it to the table because it was something that was brought up to me.
It's just a matter of courtesy, because we ran into that same problem in Turnquist, when basically it's somewhat, it's workable, but with the permits, but still have problems. It's still a problem. And people got to be more courtesy of other people, which they pretty much aren't nowadays, seems like. But I don't know what else we can do, because we spent quite a bit of money making a new parking lot, and this style,
Spend quite a bit of money.
yeah.
Well,
They're getting more property out there
And
that
I-
can tear up.
Yeah, and I tell you, just to chime in, I mean, I totally understand what you guys are saying, and as a code enforcement officer, I went around, and part of the job was to get the homeowners associations involved and to let them know how important it was to stay active. And I got to tell you, most of the neighborhoods I went to, they weren't interested in staying active. They really weren't. And like Lewis said, this is the backlash. You know, when you don't stay active and keep those homeowners associations going, this is the wake of it, and it falls upon the town. And that's pretty tough, and it's an expensive and it's something for the taxpayers to have to take on. You know, so.
So Joe, when you first moved to Turnquist, what was it out there? Was it the same situation that you had a parking spot?
Right.
And what is it now?
Well, everybody's got, if they got 2 cars, they got 2 stickers and 1 visitor's pass
Now?
now. But that doesn't prevent anybody from coming up from another street and parking in front of my house. Because they have a sticker, so they can park in front of my house, they can park anywhere they want. So that doesn't solve that problem, but they can, but if they're courtesy enough, they don't do that. And now
Sort
we
of
got,
like a handicap space, you
yeah,
can't
we
bar
got- right.
any handicapped person from parking in a handicapped space.
Mm.
It's not to an individual, it's to a use.
and being courteous is not going to be the issue, because there was more, well, I hate to bring this up, but more out-of-town tags than was in town tags. Out-of-town tags were like the most of my tags I've seen out there. And it was like whether they're visiting or whether they lived there. And that was an issue that I thought about, but I said, I'm just trying to,
Well, I know MVA, the Motor Vehicle Administration, had a program, and I don't know if they have it anymore, the chief can answer that, going around to neighborhoods where they had Delaware tags, for example. Usually that's it, in an area like this. And I don't know do you have any information on that, chief, or?
No, they don't have enough people to do it any longer. It's like pulling teeth to get them out here.
there's one gentleman that has 3 vehicles of his own. One's a working vehicle, one was his, I don't know, I shouldn't say spouse or whatever, and his, and then he had another vehicle, he had 4 vehicles. And
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Most of the developments, particularly in those days, maybe even currently, design it for like 1.4 cars or something like that, or 5 cars. And then you end up with a community with 3 cars, you know. And it just
Because the
don't-
kids growing up and they're all driving now.
You know, they stay,
Oh, you got
and there's a
people-
lot of reasons economically why people stay at home now. You know, they may be hurting and they stay home longer to share expenses, and I'm just
But still,
speculating on that.
even with the Turnquist, with the parking stuff, we've got people out there living there, still have Delaware tags, but they live there, and they use the visitor tag for their thing, so that way they get around it. So they're living there with Delaware tags and a visitor's pass, and there's nothing we can do. So, that's another problem.
Well, if MVA can't do anything, they're probably short-staffed and affected by the economy just like everybody else. A lot of state officials are either furloughed, laid off now, or I'm not sure what the General Assembly's gonna do this time, but they have that draconian budget or doomsday budget pending down there.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect a lot of services in the state, not just that.
All right,
Yeah, sorry. I just.
any old business, Joe? Any old business? Joe?
Yes, just a matter of old business, Lewis. I'd like to just kind of get an update of our progress in finding other water sources.
Well, of course, the town is currently pending the issue with Artesian. There's no decision made with respect to pursuing United Water. And as the Severn Trent has suggested for developing more wells, well, if the board agrees to that, and I'm sure they have consensus to do it, we will budget money in fiscal 13 to do that. We didn't budget money to dig wells and yet, but we will for this year, assuming that the board wants to do that. Because it's expensive to do that. It's expensive.
Okay. Also, thank you. And also like to ask about the progress of the time clock situation for the town.
The town has more or less did away with the Ceridian issues. I mean, because they were non-responsive to our needs. And Laura is looking into other potential programs for that.
Okay, awesome. And lastly, current grants that we're working on, anything in the pipeline?
There's no CDBG yet. Gene goes to training next month.
Okay.
Start the training where you have a training component before you do make an application. Then she'll come back with some ideas. I will do Blue Ball Tower, but I think the commissioners have some other ideas about it. It's up to them. The energy grant, we have an $85,000 energy grant. We've already put out and accepted bids for the VFDs and controls, and that's a matter of having the contractor submit the shop drawings and everything. And we've also had the 2 pre-bid meetings for the installation of the VFDs and electrical work and ventilation, and for the installation of high service pump and a new motor, and the electrical work associated with that. When that's all that's done, we have till the 31st of May to have all the work done, with the exception of the motor and pump, which we can operate without of. But I think they extended, or they actually did extend it to July 1.
Okay.
And if we can make our goal by July 1, we will get all the costs of replacing those items.
Okay, awesome.
The other, I asked the chief, I know the police department always has some kind of grant activity going to update their equipment, so I don't know if the chief is.
Yeah, we have 7 active grants, and 1 under process on application. Our grants total $767,000.
Awesome.
$75,000 in equipment grants, a grant that we get every year to assist in paying for police services, as does every other jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. Runs around $184,000. We have a highway safety grant for $6,000, which has a number of programs for DUIs, smooth operators, which is trying to catch people that are aggressive driving and things like that. Then we also have the cop hiring grant, which is better than $500,000. And most of our grants have paid for, in the past, the equipment that we have and used upstairs is the simulations for live fire. Instead of using a range, it uses a screen and scenarios. And that piece of equipment ran somewhere around $24,000. Our electronic fingerprinting in the back near the cell blocks, that ran around $33,000, and that was all done through grants. Our training board in the room, a smart board with the monitor, that's another $10,000. So we've done very well in grants.
Yes.
You just got that. You just got that one with the e-citation thing.
Yeah, the e-citation is one of the grants that I gave you for equipment, but right now they're doing the training. We have 10 vehicles that will eventually have e-citations in it, and what it does is takes your driver's license, you run it through a board, and it prints everything out on the board, does a check of the system for any warrants that might be active on that person as far as motor vehicle.
Okay.
And we have 1 officer you have to do 50 citations before you can be qualified to do, go out and work the road with it. And it's a piece of equipment that has a printer and paper all in one unit. So it's going to be sitting in the right-hand side. I tell you, with all the electronics we have in the car today, you're not going to have to tell the prisoner to walk to the station, you know? It's going to be that way. So that's quite a nice grant. And of course, we have the electronic license plate readers mounted on one of our vehicles, and that was done through a state grant also.
Awesome. Now, Chief, do you have one particular person going after all these grants, or?
Yes, Lieutenant Carolyn Allen does all the grants and maintains the observance of, you know, that we meet the deadlines for quarterly reports and everything.
Okay, awesome. She's doing a great job.
He's very proficient at it, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to touch base on one thing that, and again, I'll try to be as positive as I can with this. How much money did we spend on that Serenity clock issue? Because
I don't know.
I'll
have to get the number on the clock.
Yeah, because there's an issue with me because I told you, not told you, but I mentioned from before that it was a waste of money and waste of time, and I still say that because it bothers me that we even put time into something that was an issue from the beginning. And I'm not going to just sit here and not say anything about it. I had a discussion with Commissioner Hicks about this issue. I don't think should have went to the table and never should have brought to the table. And now we dropped it. What was the reason why we dropped it?
Was it compatible?
I'm sorry?
Was it not compatible? Or?
I mean, I want to have
We
facts.
had a terrible time dealing with the company. That's why we dropped it. Terrible time dealing with the company. We didn't know that when we got into it, but we found that out during the course of dealing with them.
Well, I had two different stories. I heard it was incompatible with what we was trying to hook up. And the fact is, that's what I understand. And now, right now, I still don't have all the facts, but it's a bothersome thing for me to know that.
Well, if you had asked ahead of time.
Ahead of time of what?
Brown to be here.
Ahead of time of what?
Comes
Not saying anything
before.
out to the board about any, if you have any questions about staff, we'll have staff here.
It's not the staff, it's the issue of the clocks being put into place and being in the system without, again, I don't think it took the proper steps, and I don't think it's a waste of money. That's what I still think that. And I'll leave it alone because I know it's a done deal now, but it's a waste of money. It was a waste of money. Okay.
Can I go back to something Commissioner Hicks mentioned, the energy grant, Louis?
Yes.
You're going to use that on this building, I presume, or no?
It's only
What-
used for the water treatment plant to put in VFDs and controls,
Okay.
and hopefully the installation, and everything will be covered by it too. It's not for lights or anything, it's for equipment to make the plant run more efficiently and save money on electrical.
All right. I don't have any new business. Do you have anything?
I just had, actually, Michelle sent that email, was it today, I think, regarding the town elections. Being, I guess Paula Newton, is she still the chair?
Right.
Suggested having it at town hall, and I think that's a great idea, especially since they've split up the town of Elkton, half go to Thompson Estate, half go to the fire company. For elections with the county, it confuses people for the town election. So I really think it's a good idea. I did send that back. I don't know if
Primary's
anybody,
April the 3rd, right?
for the county, yeah.
County.
No, but I'm saying people are still confused on where to go in the town, when for just the town election, you have to go to the firehouse. But since now for county, they go to Thompson Estates also.
Oh, I see what
They're
you're saying.
confused on, because I know that happened a lot the last election. So I just think that's a really good idea.
The whole operation at Singleton is completely changed. It's not like the parking and the setup of everything is totally, I don't know how you would do it, to be honest with you.
Oh, what, the election there?
There, yeah, it's totally different. It's
Yeah, you
really
have to
changed.
drive through the engine bay now and all that, right?
I don't know how
I
they're
guess
gonna
it
do
still
it.
will be a voting place, but
Mhm.
I just thought the town, having it for town
Mhm.
elections was a good idea. And as long as we get it out to the public, so they all know.
Oh, we'll put multiple advertisements in and all that.
Would it be better to just do a nice spring newsletter? I know we
Mail it out?
Then mail it out, because
Um,
I thought
we
you
got-
indicated
we got
that
spring-
you
we
were-
got
I
spring
had taken
letter.
the budget to
We
send
didn't
out
put it in the
mass
budget
mail.
because we didn't put it in the budget because we put it electronically now. The
Yeah, we're
newsletter.
doing the newsletter electronically, we don't put it out in paper anymore.
yeah, I think something that's important, people might not be looking online, all
We
age
can ask
groups
the WIG to
too.
keep putting the WIG run a couple of times, and they would do it.
Well, that's, I mean, with the cost, with
I don't
the
know how much they
advertising costs, if you're, how many
Yeah,
times you
charge us
advertise compared to putting out
But
a
now it's, and
newsletter.
the newspaper's only 3 days a week too now.
Yeah, and a lot of people.
People are not using computers
Right.
for everything. Not everybody's just getting their emails from computers.
Okay. Michelle suggested a postcard type of thing, and we could send it out. How many? About
We did about
5,000?
4,300
Oh.
with the recycling postcards that we sent out when we started the recycling program.
We can do that. That'll be,
So we can-
you know.
Yeah, I
Send
think
it
that'd
to
be good.
households.
Yeah,
Can you put it on the water bill?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the
yeah.
You have two sections.
They said they were gonna do that.
Yeah.
Talked about that.
The other thing I wanted to compliment our police department for being at the spring fling at Squire's Pantry yesterday. I was there last night with Boys and Girls Club, and the kids and the parents just really thought that was good for the community to be present there. So I wanted to thank the chief and the officer and the dog. They loved getting their picture taken, and it was just really, really a nice community event.
And with the weather being as nice, they drew a lot of traffic there, a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
It was good for them. Really did well.
Lori called this afternoon and told me about it, how pleased she was, and she was appreciative, and I made sure that the officers know that. And
Yeah,
that was very nice
very
of the
good.
call.
Show your picture.
Oh. Yeah, we had a picture of,
Oh, yeah.
that's the cow.
The cow.
Haven't seen the cow? Turkey Hill cow.
You can't miss it.
No.
No, you
couldn't miss
can't.
it. It's big.
And the last thing I noticed in the green bar we received yesterday, some charges with the computer vendor we use. And I had, when Lewis, which I appreciate that email saying if you have any questions, ask so we could have the information. I had questioned how much we have spent so far on the computer company, and we're at almost $26,000 this year. My question is, now that you're working on the budget, would it be more beneficial to have maybe a part-time IT person here that's here every day for a certain amount of so many hours a day, rather than a company coming? Why are you thinking of that?
We tried that once, and we couldn't figure it out, then we figured out the cost, the time.
Yeah, we actually pursued a full-time person, and we actually couldn't find one for what we wanted to pay.
What is the hourly rate?
$90.
It is not, that's what I thought. That's a lot.
That's not going rate.
Yeah, but.
They only
Some of them
pay
charge
for-
100.
Yeah, but, you know, if it
Benefits
was
or
an employee, you're
anything.
paying 8%, the retirement, healthcare.
I understand that.
Social Security.
Okay.
And then you'd be paying it for 40 hours a week too, or the part-time would be paying benefits. Part-time,
They were just paying straight, no benefits, no, nothing.
Part-time person, you wouldn't have to pay benefits.
we got to pay some, but I mean.
Part-time,
It's on payroll costs.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be part-time. If it got part-time, the hours they would be putting in would equal full-time
Well,
hours.
if you knew they were here 4 hours a day, say 9 to 12, and you had, you know, well, you know, I don't know
I mean,
how
the biggest
accessible.
question there is that the experience that you could get. I mean, if you just advertise for somebody that got out of school and had experience, you don't know what you're going to get. When you hire a consultant, They have a much broader, sort of like hiring engineers. They have a staff of specialties and people who work, not just that engineer.
Don't we
And,
just have one
The
person?
capabilities of the town are so limited with respect to
Someone works
cost.
with him.
Oh,
There's a
we do?
gentleman that works with him.
Yeah, he has a backup too, that's really
I
knowledgeable.
can't remember his name.
I just wanted to bring that.
But it's worth investigating with all the technology that's happening now, the kids coming out of school, people working for companies. You should be able to find somebody to be able to be a benefit to the town for the dollar bills you have to offer. I mean, it's unlimited, the amount of people that have that background.
When you said the ones coming out of school are extremely knowledgeable today.
I mean, you're dealing with kids, I mean, the average kid, you can give them a piece of technology, they never seen it, and certainly they can give, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. So you can imagine somebody who's been dealing with it.
Right.
Now, in fairness, Mike Devine, that number pulled together very quickly and does include some actual equipment and supplies. So that is not all, that $90 an hour, some of that is actual supplies that were purchased too. I did not break that out rather. Occasionally they'll purchase something, we're just paying for it, you get it much more quickly than, us ordering it and going to the market.
So did the one computer that we did was that $1,000 for the
It
computer?
was actually like
900 something.
900.
What was in that
$900,000.
computer?
Well,
That's-
you're asking a bit for-
Well, I mean, that's a very expensive computer today. I can go and get top of the line everything in it. I mean, if it's a desktop.
Whatever Mike Devine spec'd out, we got that online that was an online place that Dell had, we have with Dell, a government account with Dell.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know the statistics, I just know the terms of computers and the power
Okay.
or whatever. was
So you
used,
did order the
software.
computer
Oh, yeah.
through Dell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just, since bringing it up, then he was looking into it, I mentioned to you guys about leasing computers.
Right.
And he got me the other day and told me leasing is a much better deal. They give a huge discount.
Could be a
On
attractive
leasing.
alternative, right.
So he's got some numbers he's gonna get with us and go over them with you and I and
Right.
show you there's a big savings in leasing computers.
Sir, well, one line items, if this is the same thing, there was $90 for,
180.
and I asked a question, he was in a meeting, got paid $180, $100 some dollars.
180.
For sitting in a meeting, we don't pay the lawyer that much.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, we don't even pay him that much to sit in a meeting.
Some lawyers
For,
pay more.
and now, if this is the same line item, we pay him to sit in a meeting?
Meeting.
Right, but it's probably all, if it was $180, that's two hours at
But
$90.
what purpose did that do for us, for him to sit in a meeting? And I'm not being negative.
IT. It's an IT.
It was IT intensive.
IT
meeting.
information, yeah.
That was the,
What's IT?
what's that term? I can't remember.
That was that company.
Was that
Gracie, the correct,
See,
Granicus meeting.
So, so from that is we're questioning something about a piece of equipment, but we're paying somebody to question something. If that's the case, if we're gonna pay somebody that much, I wanna make sure we're getting the equipment before we have to sit down and
That was
get
a
paid.
training component, I think, Glenn.
I think it's kind of a exploratory meeting to see how it would interact with
Yeah,
the
I was
IT,
there.
what would be required from the IT side of a product that was presented as an option.
Does the rest of the board know about that?
I understand there
Do you
was-
guys know what took place with the meeting?
Yeah, I was there.
But you the guys know, I think.
Oh, I don't,
You walked out that night before I
no,
got
I
there.
didn't walk out there.
Well, you went, left out of leave early.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
Anything else?
I'm done.
Okay. Anything else? Charlie, anything?
Louis, would you have Dan at the Public Works to either give me a call or find out what he can do, if anything? He had called, or I had called you before, and you contacted him. There's a science class that want to do service learning at Mellow Park. Evidently, he called the science teacher today and said something about a liability. The kids can't go out there and do anything. There must be some kind of way, if you have a science class, that the town and the school could partnership some kind of way to do something. So I don't know. I don't know what he said, why they couldn't go out there, because she had
I
talked
don't
with
know
her.
anything about it. I know, yeah, I thought he had Sydney Ojibutini, dealing with that. I don't know anything, he didn't copy me on any emails about it. I'll find out.
You know what they can do, and I was at another meeting, it was with another town, but stormwater management are putting STEM programs in with stormwater management. So would that be Sydney, to look into, it could be just plants or something, but they're doing it with their stormwater management program.
Well, he had said something to her about them running and stamping the grapes or something, but, you know, you don't teach kids in class to stamp grapes.
No,
They're just
this
supposed to go out there and do something.
And
Right.
this was something, and they could go back to and see, but it was with the stormwater
They were
management.
prepared to get a bus and do that.
Do you like plantings or anything?
I don't know, I need to see her about that, I don't know. He had called her, and, you know, they discussed it, and I guess they had something on the ball, and then all of a sudden he changed it about liability. I don't know.
I thought Sydney had done something earlier, year before maybe, where when he went around with the stamps and with the kids, and they actually explained the whole program about wastewater and how everything works, and it was a
That sounds.
pretty good program.
Yeah, I think, but now what they're doing is hands-on, I think, is what well, I
That's
could
what
be
they
wrong,
wanted to do, something
but the
hands-on.
science classes now want to be hands-on and actually do something.
Okay.
And that's where they're like putting some plants in where the storm water is and that type of thing.
Right, I'm sure we should be able to do something.
I know the county was up there a couple of days ago. I don't know what the county was doing, but certainly she made the effort to reach out to the town and the county. So if we can find out something, Lois.
Yes, I am, I had a note here to find out.
All right. Secondly,
Late tomorrow.
you and Joe evidently went to the big Elk Creek behind where Millie Shark used to live. What was the debris up there? What was
He
it
was
blocking?
showing me where it's,
No, I'm saying, but was it blocking up there?
yeah, there was a big blockage, but water's going through, but yet it's blocking any of that big debris to come down and block up here over the dam.
So were you all right there where they had that cement thing?
Yeah, where the old trellis was.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But she also asked if you knew of anybody.
Oh yeah, I had somebody take care of that.
Oh, good.
She still had family members.
Good.
Are
Yeah, I
the
got a call.
Public Works laws getting ready for the grass season? Do you know?
That's what I was gonna say.
Because, and you know, and Mr. Hicks, you know about that too, and complaints for grass and sending letters out and cutting grass and doing all that. I mean, and we even got a lot of feedback from people as commissioners. You know, my grass is high, this person's grass is high.
That's the other thing, I forgot to remind. You might have to start putting the leaf sucker.
I know, I told-
And
I
in
told
fact,
him
you said
already,
April, you know,
They
I'm
get the
driving around
crew,
town, there's a lot of
the-
stuff around.
the, brush crew too.
Right.
They started them
Because
up.
people, when it's warming, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I don't know how, I don't think he's organized like that. Because the warm weather is bringing out more people to do things outside, it's starting to build up.
Yeah,
And
they've
I've
already
been calling,
started.
and especially I come in North Street and there's like 8 piles out
Yeah.
there.
I've already cut my grass, I'm cutting it again Sunday, so, but I'm driving around town and seeing all people cutting grass and leaves. And he said it wouldn't start until April, so I think we need to start it now, because if not, it's gonna be really backlogged.
Yeah, weather's.
You leaving up the street, was there a reason?
Quicker, easier, yeah, with the vacuum.
Yeah. And the last thing is, again, I speak to Chief often. Of course, we don't have Officer Vogel at Elkton High School as a resource officer, but we certainly appreciate the fact that the officers during the course of the day on their patrol, they stop and spend 45 minutes to an hour at the high school or as needed. So certainly it's always nice to see the presence of an officer in a society that you're dealing with now when it comes to kids in school. It serves as a deterrent sometimes. And that's it.
So, anything?
All right, yeah, I think I got some new old business. I'd like to understand our direction on looking for the ordinance concerning the vacant or blighted properties.
Oh, yeah.
Just working on it.
Did you see Jean's email
Just
regarding the CDBG grant? I had found that Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development you can use CDBG money, grant money, for blighted properties.
Okay.
So I sent it off to everyone, and Jean looked into it, and there is a statement that says we can do that. And it's in your email, she'll tell you what exactly it is.
Okay.
And we can use the block grant money to acquire a blighted property, but you either have to have a specific thing you want to do with it. I'm gonna make sure I get this right because I didn't print it out.
Yes.
Or you have to hold it for 5 years and then do something with it. So if that's what I sent back, put your thinking caps on, because if there is a property that we think we could use for something else, or it's there. So
Are you interested in, you're not interested in us acquiring commercial property, are you? Because once you lose the income from it, if it's not developed commercially.
I understand. It's just another thing if there was a home or something you wanted to, if there was something we could turn into, but you have to read that paragraph and then really think about it. It's not something anybody can make a decision overnight. It's got to be discussed.
I think it's more related to blighted areas than just a home in the midst of a subdivision that you may have one or two. But I don't know if you want to pursue that or not, but you really have to identify what you're going after.
Right, and I guess that's why I brought up, the question, because I really don't think at this present time that the town is in the position or in the business of being a realtor, of getting property, and selling it, so to speak, turning it over. So I'm asking, what direction are we going on so we can be clear as to what types of ordinance addendums or changes or ordinances, period, that we might look at as far as, maybe the schedule, the fee schedule.
Yeah.
I know that's something I'm very interested in. Again, and I feel like that promotes activity rather than us getting into the real estate business.
Yeah, and I think at the last meeting when you brought that sheet, we were
Oh,
discussing
Lewis is
it
working
with
on it.
Craig, and
Yeah, I
there's
had
going to be
contacted
looking at.
MML, and I got some samples from Hagerstown, Mount Rainier, Mount Airy, and Baltimore. And of course, you have the Wilmington thing too. I think I want to do a little more research than just those few municipalities, but largely they deal with registering vacant properties. And I don't know if that's the goal that the board wants at this point, rather than the eradication of blighted properties. They're different. Registration doesn't necessarily, it may pursue, cause, or stimulate activities, no question. Well, there could be a question, but it's possible, but it doesn't eliminate it. We had a big property we were talking about last week, and it won't affect that property at all. I'm talking about the old R&R, because he's waiting for a zoning change, and if the zoning change takes place, he says he wants to move forward with that, but we don't want to acquire that.
But we have to start somewhere. We just can't keep saying this might not work, it won't work.
All you need to do is tell me where you want to start. Because the board decides a particular place they want to start, that's where we'll concentrate our efforts. Because you're right, when you think of things so generalized, it never gets done. But there's always a specific circumstance around every piece of property we're dealing with there.
Well, perhaps
So
we
if
should
you say we want
take
to get rid
that.
of all residential properties that are vacant, then we concentrate on that. But if you want to deal with commercial properties, then that's a different level of how to deal with it. And I know you don't want to deal with eminent domain, but it's a very labor-intensive and legal process. And under eminent domain, if the town wants to use a property for something for public use, it has that right, but it ends up paying a lot of money for the best and highest use of a particular property. You can just take it for what the appraised cost is, unless that is for the highest and best use of property. Very, very expensive to do that.
I think we should start with the list that the landlords had developed when they were here, the blighted properties. They presented it to us.
R&R was one of them.
I understand that, but go through that list. Our code does have a lot of things that address some of those properties that we have overlooked. And then look into that fee program that Commissioner Hicks brought in and put them all together. We probably need one good workshop on getting all that and putting it in place, because things have been overlooked for too long.
I really feel like, again, I'm bringing this up because we need to move forward. I mean, I worked in that department for 5 years, and I'm hearing the same thing. Now I'm on the board, second year, I'm hearing the same thing. Let's pick a direction and move forward. My idea was to have something in place to promote activity. We're not going to be able to wave a wand or create an ordinance that's going to make all our vacant properties disappear, whether it be commercial or residential. But I think that we can put something in place to promote activity. Even the example of the RMR building, and he's waiting on the zoning change. Well, let's suppose the zoning changes, and then it sits another year or 2 or 3 years because of financial reasons or whatever. I don't know. It could be a multitude of reasons, but at least we have something in place to deal with everything across the board, not to particularly go after one or the other, but all, to deal with every situation. That's my goal in trying to bring something up for this.
Is the goal here to register vacant property? I don't know.
No, I think
what to
that's
create.
part of the process.
I agree.
I think it's part of the process. The goal is not to register properties. The goal is to create activity. And I think part of the process is to have the commitment from the property owners. And in order to do that, registering seems to be the way to do that. They register the property.
That's what I'm trying to see. I can create an ordinance that requires vacant properties to be registered. Whether it stimulates activity or not, or brings owners into line, that's to be a result of it, hopefully. But I just need, as an administrator, to know what you want to create it in black and white. Once I do that, the board says it's good, it goes to council, and council says it's legal, you enact it, and then we do our best to enforce it. I'm not sure the magnitude of what we're dealing with here. That's the only thing. I don't know with one code enforcement person, especially as the Commissioner Gibbons mentioned, high grass and all the other things. I don't think he has the capacity to do another level of work. I don't think and so we may need to get additional people, depending on what
I have said that since
Yeah, I
for
agree
a
with
year.
you.
We were at that class, Charlie, and we saw how many code enforcers are in towns that are half our size.
Yeah, you
We
can
have
do a
one,
one-man shop
and
with
that's
full work.
why we cannot keep up with everything.
Well, I
And
gotta
that's,
tell you,
that's it.
I
don't
gotta
think we
tell
have
you,
the capacity to keep up
I
with it.
gotta tell you, for 5 years, getting a lot done, it takes a lot of work and a lot of activity, but you can certainly get a lot done.
Sure
you
you
can
can.
certainly get a
There's
lot
done now.
Yeah, and we do have a department, so, you have a code enforcement officer, but whenever those other inspectors are not on a task, they can also help in in those different areas.
I
So
mean,
it'd be a,
Let me ask you a question now. Mary Jo and I think Mayor and somebody else was at the workshop. When you worked here, how many people you actually think needs to be in that department to do the job of code enforcement and building inspection and all these other things?
well, there's a couple of things that I really think that we need to look at the responsibilities and make sure we can handle them all, and make sure they make sense. Like, for example, I think they now, his position now is in charge of the grease traps and things like that. I'm not quite sure if that needs to be in his department. I'm thinking maybe that needs to be more in the public works.
Now, the reason it's in that department is because the building official is the one who has to approve a grease trap.
Okay.
If you look in the ordinance, that's why it's there. Public Works doesn't approve grease traps, the design of them or anything. It's the building official, which is Craig. Consequently, Craig's the support for the code person when they investigate it, because he's the approving authority for that. Dan they don't do approvals down there, so I'm not exactly sure how they would allocate those types of inspections unless I'm not sure how you do it. You couldn't take the sewer crew and do it. It just went out of they couldn't do it. They have too much to do now.
But you
So
said the
have to
nail
have
on the
other
head.
people do it. Huh?
He said they got too much to do now. Well, John just has too much to do now, too.
Well, I know, but now we're getting to the point where we make a decision about the prioritized work that you want done. the prioritization of work will dictate how many man hours, consequently employees, you will have, and the cost of supporting those employees to do this level of work.
Well, I have a
I don't
question for
think,
you.
I can't grab a couple laborers out of Public Works and have them do that type of work. You actually need knowledgeable people.
Okay, let me, can I
Now,
ask a question?
there's a process, obviously, to inspect a grease trap. I don't think you have to have a grease trap license.
They're not licensed, but you
Okay,
should have
so
a
now at this
supporting
point-
network for
Correct.
building
So
officials.
at this point, you have a building official. Why cannot a building official deal with two guys? Because I think in order to manually lift and do what needs to be done, it would take two. If you have two people from Public Works with a list of criteria of what to do, why can they not fill that out or do that and then have a building official sign off on that? Why can they not work together?
I'm not saying they can or they can't.
Okay.
A good example you said about lifting it off, the town would make the property owner lift it off.
Okay,
We don't have to lift it off.
okay,
Once you have an ordinance, and you do have an ordinance in place, actually, you already did, for
okay,
inspection of grease traps, then they go there for the inspection, the owners have to present it for
okay.
inspection. It's not like we have to go in there while they stay in the kitchen and do something.
Well,
They don't
that's,
have capacity to do it, then.
Okay, well, that's
make-
something-
Make capacity.
okay, well, that.
Now, I'm not
that's-
saying that, I don't know, you put me at a loss here because the manager of the building department and the manager of Public Works aren't here to comment on what the impact of that change would mean to them.
Okay.
Because- So I can't speculate on,
No
sure,
problem.
we can do that. And of course, Dan might say, okay, instead of sending two guys out to pick up grass clippings, I'll put them on grease traps. And there'll be a consequence of this. I don't know how.
Sure, I guess what
he manages those
I'm just
people.
trying to promote the departments working together to get it done, that's all. And just up for suggestion, so if you would, if that's able for discussion, then maybe we can discuss that.
Well, I can bring Dan in and Craig at the next workshop if you want, and it can be discussed. I'm not exactly sure if the board wants to get into managing people
No.
in various departments, that's what I'm saying.
Or you can just send them an email and say, could they work together on that?
Well, of course, they will work together. They'll
Well,
work
I have a
together on
question
issues
because
like that.
Commissioner Hicks did mention something, they have a department, okay? Things have been slow. I don't know the answer to this question, that's why I'm asking. You are a code enforcer, John's a code enforcer. There's other people in that department. Are they all code enforcers also, the other inspectors?
They're just inspector.
So
But they-
that's
but
the
they
only
do go
job
for the
they
grease
can
trap,
do.
Because Charles Bromwell goes out, and that's it. And if they have a real complicated thing, even Craig.
And we need another
they do,
code enforcer.
Share
That-
the cost, labor of that.
We definitely need more than one code enforcer.
I got a question for you.
We're fortunate that
Can
John
an
has spent so
inspector,
much time.
can an inspector measure the height of grass?
I'm sorry?
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. It's just, it's just working the position for 5 years and going through the town over the past year and a half and seeing what I see, and then you and then you coming and saying that we need another code inspector. Like I said, it baffles me. I can understand if we loaded on maybe rental ordinances or something like that. But at this point, I think we still have to maximize that department. I think we still have some potential to maximize that department. And to the point where I know there's certain things that the code inspector does, but again, if building is slow and there's not other things going on, if they go out and do a particular area and you're looking at grass.
But,
I mean-
but I have to say this, and I no disrespect, but these properties we're talking about were there when you were here, and they're there now. And they were there before that.
Now, we talking
So-
about vacant properties now, or we talking
Vacant
about
properties,
grease
if the
traps,
grass
and
is
then we talking
high,
about
we've had
grass?
complaints. So it's not nothing new, it's just something overlooked. And I feel one person cannot do that job. And when we were in that work session at MML, every other town had more code enforcers than we do with less population. And
Yeah,
less
I think
homes.
I think they had a lot more population. They had big college towns and things like that.
No, I know there was a question because I know, I can't recall, it was last summer, but Charlie and I discussed it. And, but it's a lot of work for
So
one
Chuck,
person.
my next question,
Definitely not
and you
work.
know in the code enforcement, how much paperwork and time you have to put in when you come back out off the field or from your job that you put into the office?
Again, yes, it's a lot of paperwork, and there's the point. Again, you have a department, and I know in some cases, the secretaries in that department, administrative assistants in that department, helped out with the paperwork. It's all part of maximizing the department. And you're right. Hiring an extra code enforcement person is not going to make vacant property go away.
No.
Yeah. So, but it is going to keep it neater.
Right.
It is going to notice walls that are falling down and cracked apart. But like I said, how much building is going on right now? All right, that was.
See, I have the philosophy that you give a man a task and he does it, and when he's done that task, he does the next task, and he keeps doing them. A lot of people will be overwhelmed if they're placed in a forest with an axe to chop a forest down, but you say, I don't want the forest chopped down, I want that tree chopped down. When that tree's down, it goes to the next tree. But that's psychologically managing a number of tasks that they have to face. And in John's case, or Craig's case, he does one task at a time, and then when that task is done, he does. I have more tasks probably than anyone in this whole town, and I just manage those tasks one at a time. And that's how I have to, 6 or 7 at a time, let's put it that way. But that's how you have to do it. For example, I've actually stepped into code enforcement probably 3 or 4 times here lately, and I know what it involves. If somebody gives me a complaint, I go check it, validate the complaint. I have to research the property owners. I type a letter to the property owners. I email it to them, or I fax it to them, or I certified mail it to them, and then I follow up to see if the action's been taken, and then I do a note to file that it was done on a certain time in case I'm questioning about it. And that takes probably an hour or 2 of my time to do that, in between things, not the dedicated time. And then I'll do another one, then another one. So those are things that John didn't have to do that I did. So when you ask, do we work together? Yes, the town administrator actually goes out in the car, checks the complaint, notifies owners, and follows up on it. And when it's done, I notify the appropriate people that it's been done. So there's me working with them. And then they work with me. And then
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I think that's what it
we
takes.
do work together, and a lot of times we get things done. Sometimes people are very resistant to taking care of their own responsibilities. And the level of aggression on our part, or level of effort on our part, is a better term, becomes much more time consuming then, because they don't want to respond. Some people respond very well and some don't. So it takes a much more,
Right there.
I'm
just kidding. I said, we can get him a check for grease traps.
Again, I just brought this up. I brought this up so that we would at least move in a direction, and in the direction that I would like, speaking in my humble opinion, I would like to see us move in a direction of an example of what we have in the different towns that we've seen. We have examples of their ordinances where they register after so much time. There's an amount associated with that, and they also have ways to communicate if there's something going on, but there's a timeline created by the owner. And I think the reason why that timeline is created and the town is constantly aware of it, which would then help the code enforcement officer as well, because it would be, in place, administratively it would be in place, and that would take less research. Initially it'd be research, but once it's in place, I think it would create the movement of these vacant properties, and hopefully it would
Well, when
make them go away.
my task ahead of me is to create such ordinance, but it will involve more than a code official officer. It will involve clerical people to manage notice. It'll involve financial people to keep track of billings for registration fees and everything. And it'll take administrative services to coordinate that. So it isn't a person's job, it'll be probably several people's jobs to do that. And I'm not saying it won't be done, because it will be done. We'll do it, you know, we'll do whatever you want to do. I just say, I just think sometimes that it's an uphill battle in some parts of the community, because we have so many rental houses, and I think that's a reality that's very difficult to deal with, because I can go to some neighborhoods and it's beautiful, you know what I mean? You have a beautiful neighborhood, you get to another neighborhood, and you can spend your life down there dealing with the owners or the occupants of the neighborhood. It's just what you choose to do and how quickly or how efficiently you can do it. I wish I could make the world a better place with an ordinance, but just like you said, it takes an effort and an incentive by individuals to make a world a better place. And I don't know how you make that by law. I'm not sure how you do that. I know you can't, actually.
The other thing I have, it won't be so long, is the, in the position, I created a 3-fold pamphlet that alerted the community about the basics of what the code enforcement is looking for. You know, part of the position is educating the community on a consistent basis as well, to make sure that they're aware of the different violations that normally happen. And I think that's a part that I'd like to see continue, and I would hope that we're still doing that.
We're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
Not doing it. But we have the brochure.
I loved this brochure when you did this. I have to say, and this came to mind when I was talking about a newsletter going out for the elections, but this is great information on this brochure.
Yeah, and that was a combination of meeting with the different homeowners associations and residents, and that gave me ideas, and also pulling from other communities. Just, again, information purposes, just to get it out there as far as things that normally come up.
The question I had when I went over to the building department and asked about it, of course I probably got a copy of it, but they didn't have any recollection that it went out as a mass mailing, that it just went out to certain areas. So I don't know if you were involved in that. Maybe you can clarify that, because we didn't send out 5,000 of them, because I was looking for a mass mailing, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, it was part of the newsletter.
yeah, we actually, yeah.
Okay, so it didn't go out as an individual document.
No, it actually went out in full in that newsletter.
Yeah.
So we don't do the newsletter anymore.
Understood.
That's why.
And
that's
that's
why it's not
understood, and
going
that's
out.
why I wanted to bring it up. Again, it's a process. You can't just run out and impose code enforcement on everyone and expect to be effective. It's a whole process. You can hire 5 people for that department, and if you're not involved, if you're not out having these meetings with the homeowners associations, and all of that's in the job description. You know, it's part of educating the community during the whole process. And this is one way to reach out and continually reach out, and that helps the whole process, the awareness. So I would hope that we would find some way to.
Grass or pick up their trash.
That's true. That's true.
Think about it.
I'm done.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? Anybody else?
I guess you.
Get a motion to,
I don't think
So-
Brian's got any comments.
So moved.
all those in favor?
Come on, Brian.
Meeting's adjourned.